The information provided in this video is for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. I do not encourage, condone, or promote the use of illegal substances. The content is intended to inform viewers of the risks associated with drug use, but it should not be seen as encouragement or endorsement. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome. This marks the second episode of the Datura Chronicles. Enjoy the fever dream. We'll start it off a bit light-hearted, since this substance is one you will need to be eased into. Disclaimer number 2. The fuckery you are about to witness is like nothing else ever experienced. Strap in and don't unbuckle unless told so. Good luck.
It's March 5th, 2008. Don't seem to be coming down. It's been about 2 months. I can't really go out. Been spending a lot of time in the basement. I don't think it's wearing off. I don't really know what to do to make it wear off. Just don't feel like I'm getting that center feeling, center back. I think I boiled the roots right. I did what it said in the book. I don't feel like I'm ever gonna come down. And it's not cool. It's getting weird. It's definitely getting weird.
Now that you have somewhat of an idea of what Datura, or as it is sometimes referred to as Jimson weed, really is, let's look at some first-hand experiences told by others. Also remember, you don't need to know anything about Datura, just
off! Step off! You don't want none of this! Ah! Step off! Step off!
micro-dosing Datura and how I went crazy for a year. TLDR, I microdosed on Datura for a few months, feeling no noticeable effects. Then, like a ton of bricks, it all hit me, and I spent a year with what I can only call, and so did my doctor's, schizophrenia. I'd been experimenting lightly with Datura for a while. I'd add a bit of Datura leaf to a bowl of weed, but that was about it. I never wanted a full-on trip. I just thought it gave an interesting buzz. So I started growing the plants, and they make a ton of seeds. I started to eat 3 seeds a day. It was a nice little buzz, kinda like weed. But one thing I noticed was at the end of the month I'd start to trip out a bit. Things would just feel really dreamy. It's hard to describe. I figured maybe all the seeds I'd taken had started adding up, and hadn't left my system. So I'd stopped taking the Datura seeds for a few weeks, rinse and repeat. Well, one day, after maybe 6 months of microdosing, I go into full-blown delirium. I remember being on the computer when something told me to Google a random string of characters. I did, and the only image that returned was a photo of an Arch Linux terminal note, a work in programming that showed exactly what I was playing on my iPod. Like I was being monitored. It was all downhill from there. Long story shorter, a couple trippy incidents. Thought I was telepathically talking to a famous actress. Then I thought I was telepathically talking to a woman who worked for the government. This went on 4 weeks. Then I thought it was actually an AI the whole time. I remember once closing my eyes and swinging an axe at a piece of plank in front of my foot, so I could test the precision on the AI and prove it didn't want to hurt me. I nearly chopped off my toes. I believed there were cars following me. Yes. Full-blown paranoia. Except I thought they were there to help me. I stopped eating the Datura pretty early on into the hallucinations, but it took about a year for them to wear off. Took just as long for me to figure out that I was having delusions and nothing from the past year had been real. I ended up being diagnosed paranoid schizophrenic for having magnetic resonance imaging and stuff, but I refused any meds. Half of me still not believing was hallucinating, and the other half scared of what the effects might be from the medication. About 2 years after the whole thing happened, I was back to normal. Obviously, it's hard to be sure what the hell happened there. Was it the Datura, or did I have a mental breakdown from something else? I can't say for sure. I don't take Datura anymore though, and I still smoke a lot of weed, and things are back to normal. Everyone says don't take Datura. Listen to them.
Off! Step off! You don't want none of this! Ah! Step off! Step off!
I've descended to Datura hell, so you won't have to. Step by step, dose by dose. Disclaimer: every delirium poses health risks to its users. My goal is to promote responsible substance use. The central nervous system's depressants may and will mess with vital functions like heart rate, breathing patterns and body heat. Handle with care. I was a young boy when I heard about this plant, young and clean. Later in my life I had the opportunity to try cannabis and magic mushrooms. I was thinking, I can handle that. I have to see what it is. Luckily I'm as careful as I am curious. I was very careful, slowly dipping my toe into the waters of hell. I'm a psychedelic enthusiast, so I was kinda confident, and oh boy, every psychedelic substance pales in comparison, because of the unique delirious nature of this plant. So, let's get started. The measurement system was the following. I gathered a fair bit of plant matter, leaves, stems and flowers. I broke down the plants to smaller pieces and made tea, stirred a few times, letting it boil until the foam rose up. I've got around a liter of greenish-brownish tea. Let it cool down, and I was ready to try it. I took the first sip. It was horribly bitter, with a little buttery taste, god-awful. I knew it would be wise to wait an hour before going further. In half an hour I started to feel a very mild effect. This will typically get stronger and stronger in the following 1 to 1.5 hours. So, after the first sip, there wasn't much of an effect, so I sipped to other times from the tea. That's where the party starts. Note: this substance doesn't give you any euphoric effect at any level, not a single trace of fun or euphoria. Let's list it dose by dose. Mild dose. A bit of dizziness, heavy mind space, a bit of sleepiness, dry mouth, but bearable, but I was in complete control. Blurry vision sets in and persists for the whole day after dosing. You can see just fine into the distance, but I advise you to use glasses if you want to use your phone temporarily. Psychoactive dose. At this dose, you'll get high. Your short-term memory starts to give up at this point. You'll easily forget what you wanted to say mid-sentence. A jittery impaired mental state sets in, much like cannabis, but you won't feel any euphoria at all. In conclusion, you get a high similar to weed, definitely strong, maybe even stronger than everyday grass. You won't feel heavy, but you will be absolutely disabled. The simplest conversations become impossible to manage, dry mouth persists, and will increase slightly. When you try to urinate, not much will come out, and the urge will follow for the rest of the trip. Kinda annoying, and so painful. You can save yourself by emptying everything you have before the experience. You start to hear noises that aren't there for mere moments, but you can snap out of it. This happens over and over. From the perspective around you, you'll look like a mentally disabled toddler. This dose creates an overall dreamlike experience. High dose. You are detached from everyday reality. Your imaginary world will be more prominent than the everyday reality. Hearing small sentences, closing doors won't be a rare occurrence. This plant is notorious for changing your reality in a sneaky way. You ask your trip sitter, "What did you say?" He didn't say anything. It was all your imagination. Reality starts to fade. Delusions take its place, and you are in a messed up dream world before you know it. Your mind is in pieces. Your experience of reality is twisted. Your dog flies. Oh, it's completely normal. Why would you even be surprised? It seems completely normal to you. You are laying in your bed. The next moment, you are standing in the kitchen. At this point, nobody can control the trip. No human being on this planet can. At heroic dose, well, you know it by now. Almost all the Datura trip reports resemble this dose, otherworldly, and very dangerous experience. You won't be scared though, since everything feels normal to you. No jump scares, no horror, just complete craziness. You've gone mad at this point. You have no clue what's happening to you. Your short-term memory doesn't even exist anymore. You are a mindless zombie, following your imagination. You are dangerous to yourself. There is no fun anymore. There's no value in a heroic dose. You won't enjoy it at all. The substance controls you, that's all. The chances of brain and internal organ damage skyrockets there, and you won't get anything in return. From what I've seen, the trip typically lasts around 5 to 8 hours, and residual symptoms, well, just one. The blurry vision lasts for another day or two. The heroic dose is different. The trip can last a day, or even more, while you are completely out of your mind. Sheer craziness. You are in danger constantly. The duration of the trip at this dose skyrockets. The sky is the limit. You've prevented yourself from fully functioning for a week, if not for a lifetime. You cannot dose accurately. Even the tea I made created different intoxication levels, and I drank the same amount of it as the last time. Sometimes the opposite is true. I don't know if it is tolerance, or the scopolamine decays, but you basically can't accurately dose this thing, no matter what. Since nobody can talk you down if you are very curious, instead of eating a random amount of seeds, do everything you can to accurately dose it. This substance is a strong neurotoxin. It can kill you, or even worse, it can throw you into a vegetative state for the rest of your life. Also, after every usage, the chances of you developing dementia increase. I hope this guide will help you to be safer with it.
Off! Step off! You don't want none of this! Ah! Step off! Step off!